Tonight's show is brought to you by Ventura Training and Athletics. Restore, train, maintain. Specializing in the restoration of the muscular system to help you move and feel better. Combating TBI, PTSD, and pain through specialized strength training. Again, get your body right, get your mind right, defeat the demons.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, Joe, and Buddy. Today's special guests are two West Point officers who only joined for the free college and got out.
What's going on, Trash Talkers and Gruntworks community? Welcome to episode 35 of the Trash Talk Hour. Shout out to our sponsors, Ventura Training and Athletics, Cardinal Financial, and Buddy's favorite, 10th Mountain Whiskey. Type in that VTT, get yourself a discount. Special guests for today are Elizabeth and Chris from NeuroFlow, and Heather. She's an Air Force veteran. She's going to be talking to us about some scholarships. As always, I'm here with Nick, Buddy, and Joe. Let's get this party started. Over to you, Joe.
Hey, what's going on, Trash Talkers? Thanks for being here. Folks from NeuroFlow, I'm very excited to hear what you have to offer. And, you know, we've had a kind of a caretaker type relationship with some veterans who we kind of view at risk and somebody we should keep an eye on. And, we keep that information between each other, but we always got some people that we're checking on. And I had a few conversations with a couple this week, and it kind of sparked something in me to write something down. And so I'm going to get a little bit serious. But basically what it was is I saw that there was a huge issue with basically the way veterans are viewed in the public light. And I don't blame the public for that, but it's almost like a refresher of when dealing with veterans, maybe take note of a couple of these things. And like I said, I don't feel entitled to different treatment, but this is more of a inner look at how we're feeling when we have to interject ourselves into a civilian atmosphere for the first time. And all we ever knew was the service that we had with each other. So it's a little bit different for us. So I wrote this down and just title it, Dear Civilian. Yes, I am a veteran, but that does not define all that I am. Though my responses to life may not fit your definition of proper, I assure you my thoughts are calculated, my responses are measured, and my viewpoints are rational and valid. If you don't jump to conclusions, neither will I. In this stifling PC world we live in, if you confuse me with the stigma before having the courage to shake my hand, then the problem is yours, my friend. This may sound like I have a chip on my shoulder, but when it comes to the light in which my brothers and sisters are viewed in, I guess I kind of do. So most of my brothers and sisters, as well as I, that have actually seen combat, want to leave it right where it is. They want to successfully transition into being a productive member of society. And most of all, we just want to be judged on meritocracy alone. No charity because of my service is necessary. No added attention, period, is necessary because of my service. I appreciate the thank yous on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, but I got paid for what I did. And here's the kicker. I loved it. I'd do it again if my body and my life allowed it. Don't feel bad for me. I served with some of the best men our generation had to offer. We laughed, we fought, we killed, we bled, we died, and we cried together. No bond can ever match that forged by such experiences we shared with one another. So please, forgive us for our apprehension to communicate with the general public or forge relationships with new people in general. Trust is earned with us, and that takes time. When we leave the service, we leave a family behind. Some of us need professional help to deal with this part of the transition alone. If we seem edgy and uncomfortable, it's probably because we are. Let us breathe in these moments. I'm not going to do something that'll end up on the 5 o'clock news. I was actually just thinking about stepping outside, maybe having a cigarette away from you. Don't take it personal. I promise it's me. It's not you. I'm used to the stigma. I'm aware of it. I'm used to tolerating it to a point. But if there's a mutual level of respect between us, we'll be just fine. I am not crazy. Just get to know me before you presume to know me. Because you had a cousin who went to Desert Storm. And for the love of God, I'll jump just as high as you will if something freaking goes boom unannounced. So don't ask. I am a veteran, but that is not all that I am.
Damn, Joe, that was deep.
Art, that was a haiku.
Woo! Hey, as long as there's no copyright infringements because you Googled that. If you wrote that, that was badass, man.
You know I wrote it.
Cheers to you, Joe.
Thank you.
Super good, Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked it.
Every once in a while, I think it's okay to tell these guys.
Somewhere else, like later in the show, though, because now I feel
Yeah.
like I'm not allowed to say
Well,
anything.
Buddy,
Yeah,
shut
now-
up.
now I-
It's hey,
You're
it's.
a member
I
of
think.
society, like Joe said. Be
I
quiet.
think it's all right every once in a while to let these guys know how much we freaking love them, because I get busy, you guys get busy, and I always wish I had more contact than I did during the week, even though I never didn't answer my phone, but I'll miss a call every once in a while, and it's like, I want these guys to know, man, nothing's going to stifle this mission. We care too much, and if nobody else gives a shit, you better believe we do. So
Dang, Joe, you got a lot of engagements on that one. You got a lot of people showing the hearts and everything. It's pretty good. I'm following on here, and Tim Harris says, "Well said." Gene Kennedy says, "Righteous brother." So yeah, I mean, maybe that's a good angle you can start taking. I mean, we don't have
first
to
time
just
it
make
ever
fun
got
of
me a kiss after a soapbox, so that was good.
Yeah, we don't have to make up like a Detroit minute anymore. You don't got to talk about how shitty Detroit is. You can just start talking about real stuff. Like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Well, following that, of course, I'm never that emotionally serious unless it's a special thing because I just don't do that as much. But first of all, for those of you watching, all right, Gruntworks Nation, VTT Nation, I don't play for the Packers. Okay. I didn't play for the Packers. I never played in the NFL. Okay. So yes, I am from Milwaukee. I am a Packer fan. So the Packers, they lost. Guess who didn't really give a shit? That was me. Okay. But what kind of got me triggered a little bit, and I almost got to the pansy level, but it was close. Like what triggered me was people who I hadn't talked to in years.
I knew it.
They fucking text you and they're like, "Hey, how's it going, bro?" I'm like,
Whoa, hold up.
Fine.
You ask for that, Nick.
It's fine.
You create that monster.
I wrote it in the script, buddy, for you to just hold your emotion for like 5 seconds. Anyways, so again, the only football fans that I will dog when your team loses is if the Packers are playing your team and we are talking trash all week, and then I'll say something to you. But if Alabama loses, which is rare, I'm not calling Buddy and going, "Hey, how you doing today, bro? You having a good time?" It's like I know the SEC people are a little bit more, cult followers of their football teams, so they really get upset about that kind of stuff. And I have a good friend, Dan Dexter. He was on the show. He's a Bears fan. I don't want the Bears to lose. I don't want him to be upset unless they're playing the Packers. Then, of course, I'll say something. But I want my friend to be happy. All right, so that got me thinking a little bit. And I'm going to try to fix some of you average people today. All right, and that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with being average at all. But I'm going to tell you why most of you will always just be average or slightly below average. All right. It's because you waste too much time and energy negatively. All right. And hoping others fail. Right. you get upset when somebody else is doing well because you might be having a bad day. All right. And so you spend all your negative energy wondering and getting mad at them. All right. It comes to, I wrote down a couple of people that kind of reference that. But, in this great country of America, right, everybody has an opportunity to be great. All right. There's other countries that they're just, you're going to be average because they're going to make you fucking average. Right. It's called communism. Right. But anyways, some people have an easier chance. Some people get breaks. Some people come from real hard backgrounds. All right. But there is one constant. Everybody has a chance to be great. And it's who you surround yourself with. You surround yourself with people who build you up and want you to succeed, or do you surround yourself with people who bitch and complain all day? Because I'm telling you what, if you surround yourself with people who complain all day, you're just going to be another complainer. All right. And a lot of people say if you can't handle criticism, right? Well, I don't want criticism from somebody who that's all they have. Right? Have you ever tried to lift somebody else up? Have you ever tried to build somebody else up? Because I guarantee you, if you build up all your friends, they're going to build you up too. It's just going to happen. And then again, the average people, and there's a lot of successful average people, nothing wrong with it, but they never reach their full potential because they waste too much fucking energy on stupid shit. And that's just the way they are. And then they don't ever want to just look at themselves, self-reflect, and be better. So real quick, Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods, y'all.
I watched the HBO special on him. All right, I was a huge Tiger Woods fan, still am. Okay, I'm not justifying the way he acted, all right, with his wife and the women. That's not the point. The point is if you watch that episode on HBO, there were so many people waiting for him to fail. There were so many people that were excited that he failed.
Celebrated it.
Celebrated it.
Yep.
And I know that I've been on some opioids I didn't like for my injuries. A lot of us here have, all right? And we get off of it. The shit's not cool, all right? It's not fun. That motherfucker swung a golf club so hard he tore an ACL swinging a golf club, all right? I don't know if you guys can understand how much torque and pressure he put on his knee to do that. All right. He was that talented. And yes, he grew up in a racist South. His dad was a Green Beret. All right. And the show shows his dad, making him tough, talking shit to him in the middle of his swing. He's like, you're a black golfer. He's like, you're going to have to deal with some shit when I make you the greatest. Right. And he was coaching him from a young age. And he built his brand so big that people literally wasted energy being happy that his life was falling apart. All right. And then so again, you're an average person to below average. You suck. All right. Change that attitude. Next person I'm going to talk about is Aaron Rodgers. All right. Joe and I always talk about this. Why haven't you
introduced Dave to him yet, though?
I don't know, because Dave was drunk in New Orleans and got mad at me that I didn't introduce him to Aaron Rodgers yet. I don't fucking know Aaron Rodgers, all right?
I wish we had it on camera. It was beautiful.
So, but everybody talks about the third down play when they were down by 8 of why didn't Aaron Rodgers run? Okay, so they slow the frames down. They show the wide opening end zone he could run into. And all these people start critiquing him. Okay, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live. He has a ton of rushing touchdowns. In fact, the most in the last decade. He throws the ball at a different level, at a different trajectory and speed than any quarterback in the history of the NFL. I think sports science does that now. They show it. Is it possible at game speed that this guy didn't see that hole? Is that possible? Yes, it is possible.
Is it possible Levante David was sitting there waiting on him?
Right. Exactly.
No slouch.
These guys can close a gap in about 1.2 seconds, 10 yards. These safeties can. All right. And they will light your head up. They will just rip it off. Okay. So again, you have a bunch of average people that are like, oh, this dumbass didn't run. Do you know how good Aaron Rodgers is? Do you know how you will never be at his level? Do you know why you never got to his level? Is because you were too busy critiquing other people and being average. Okay, that's another example. Aaron Rodgers probably wishes he would have ran that, But I mean, he throws 45 touchdowns a year and only like 3 picks. And he takes a team that's usually subpar, all the other levels of their team, and takes them to the NFC Championship game like every year. All right, so stop being average. Other guy, let's get a little political just real quick. Trump, Biden, okay? I'm not going to get into the bell curve because Perry says the people listening to Spotify can't see the bell curve that I draw. All right, so I won't even get into it. But there's people that spent all day waiting, hoping Trump failed. All day. All right, and you're probably average as shit. All right, you probably don't have a fun life. All right, you probably spend a lot of time whining. All right. Now, Biden, I personally really hope he doesn't fail. Okay. There are a lot of people that spend their whole day trying to find shit that he fails at. All right. Imagine if you spent some of that time just, I don't know, trying to get above average. Okay. Think about all the energy you waste on feeling fucking sorry for yourself and thinking that somebody's the queue is going to rise and this is going to be this huge like uprising. You know, it's like, guy, calm down. Why don't you just go try and be great for a little bit? Why don't you go try and be good at something? All right.
Better focus on reality and actually bettering yourself. Otherwise, life's going to really bite you in the ass here real soon.
And you probably are good at something, but you just don't realize your potential because you're too busy surrounding yourself with a bunch of other fucking whiners. All right. And a bunch of other people that hate Biden, hate Trump. And it's like, I love having a diverse group of friends. You know, I love having somebody tell me like why they think a certain way. Right. And I hope they're happy. If I could do something to build them up, I will. That's the way you should live. Okay. And then the last one, kind of close to home, all right, is Aaron Jones for the Packers. All right. Aaron Jones' parents were sergeant majors. All right. He went to the Yale to Southwest, UTEP. Right. And, you know, he's from a small school and he's going to be one of the top paid running backs in the league next year. Okay. He fumbled in that game. If any of you actually watched that hit that he took, pretty sure it cracked his sternum. Okay. It was an absolute perfect hit. Like, you cannot paint it up any better than that. And when, like we talked about earlier, who might be waiting for Rodgers to run? Those guys, when they have you squared up, you're in big trouble. And it doesn't matter who you are. When another pro athlete has you squared up in the sights, you're in trouble. All right. And so he caught the ball, took a helmet right to the chest and the ball, shoulder pad on the ball, helmet on the chest. Right. And he fumbled. Guess what? Aaron Jones got death threats. All right. For some real average motherfuckers.
Armchair quarterbacks who've never taken a shot like that.
Like, do you know how good Aaron Jones was all year? He's a Pro Bowler. He's going to be one of the highest paid running backs of all time. Right? He's that good. He trains his ass off. He's very respectful. He says, sir. He says, ma'am. Right? His parents raised him right. And he's a hard worker. His brother's in the NFL too. His whole damn family's successful. How do you think that family got there? Right? Discipline, hard work, stay positive, go forward. All right? That's what they did. All right? And yeah, their parents are black. All right? They grew up in a harder time than a black person now did. All right? And they were in a racist-ass army when they were in the army.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Right? They dealt with more shit than you are, you woke sons of bitches that are just average and want to complain.
Remember Gunny? Who was on a guest previously?
Yeah.
Talked about that guy calling him the N-word. He served so much time in the army. He ended up being commander. He was the NCOIC in that building by the time his career was over. Yeah. Where when he first came in, he had to tolerate that kind of language.
Yeah, those of you who don't know what Joe's talking about, I think it was like episode like 5 or 6. I don't know which one Gunny was on, but if you look it up, Gunny was on there, and he talks about how racist the Marine Corps and Army was. Like, it was just crazy.
Hey,
Nick, he just worked through it.
Real quick, apparently you're implying that Biden is top level in the chat. James wants to know why you said that.
Well,
I just told him. It's an easy fella.
Prime example. James is a prime example of what we're talking about.
Yeah, James is a prime example of an average person. And yeah, I will make fun of you. There's probably a lot of things you complain about. And again, you might be real successful. You might have a fucking Porsche for all I know. I don't know. But you could probably have 5 Porsches if you just spent some time doing some fucking other shit than complaining. All right. So again, Biden is top level because he's the president of the United States.
Biden is the president of the United States, and there's only been 46 of them. By definition, mean that he's elite.
Yeah, I think he made it. I think he made it.
Country in the world. Whether you like him or don't like him, I'm not a fan. That being said, he still outranks me.
Exactly.
And he is the commander. And he is the commander in chief. I mean,
anyway, none of politics. Exactly. I just wanted to hit up James in the chat real quick.
Yeah, James, quit being a triggered pansy. Okay, Biden's
we
your president.
are leaving politics.
The fuck over it. Just try to be better. Just try to be better. Now, everybody's been waiting for Buddy. All right, Buddy kind of interrupted a few times because he just can't control his emotions. But Buddy.
Okay, first of all, I would like to say that the reason people call you is because you talk so much shit for years and years and years. And they can't defend themselves. Finally, they get a chance. They call you, and now you're the triggered pansy? Calm down, partner. Take a seat. Let other people get their shots in.
Hey, Joe, have I ever called you and said the Lions lost? How do you feel?
Once, yes, you did.
But you on the bomb from Monday morning talking about.
Listen,
when the Packers beat him.
We literally had whole conversations about how the SEC is horrible.
Outside.
So we can't have conversations now in person? We can't have conversations in person, buddy? We can't have conversations in person? That's not what I'm talking about. We're in person talking about it. I'm allowed to make fun of you in person.
That's how you fucking
Never when the Lions lost outside of playing the Packers. But when
buddy,
Rodgers
I'm glad I got you all triggered right now, so you can just start your honesty cap.
Anyway, can I go into my honesty cap?
Yes.
Please, for the love of God.
It was your turn, but you decided to talk about me. I don't know.
Buddy, we're all
why are you interrupting me right now? I don't understand.
I got my popcorn. Go.
So the honesty cap, I watched, saw some news this week about a senator from Missouri, Mr. Tom Cotton, that everybody is losing their mind because he had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to say that he was a Ranger after completing Ranger school. Kind of goes back to what you were just talking about, Nick, where people that have never been to that school will talk about how, like, well, you weren't in 75th, so you're not a real Ranger. Well, if you never cracked the book, the Ranger handbook, even to the second or third page and seeing where the Rangers came from, not a huge deal, but every unit in the Army at one point had Rangers. They weren't from the 75th because the 75th didn't exist until Vietnam. Like pre that, the 82nd had Rangers. Oh, and where did all the Rangers in Vietnam come from? I'm pretty sure if you read the book, they came from the 173rd and the 82nd. They brought them all together to make some Ranger battalions. My dad was in the 173rd. Boom. Her dad was in the 173rd. Not a huge deal. I don't know how that is relevant right this second. But that being said, we are why do we feel the need to bring somebody down? Our two missions are to bring the suicide rate down and to advertise for veteran-owned businesses. And the reason we do the second one is because why would we want to tear down our own community? You got a guy that's actually out there trying to do something. You don't like him because of his policies. Cool, attack his policies. But your argument that he is not a good person is simply because he uses the word Ranger after he went to Ranger school. Are you the same people that call people that went to airborne school, well, you're still a leg because you're just a 5-jump chump? Bitch, they jumped out of the plane, idiot. That's the point. They threw themselves into the arms of gravity and allowed a little bitty sliver of nylon to lower them to the ground. There's always somebody that's a bigger badass than you are. So why are you tearing other people down that are trying to do great things just to make yourself feel better because you're not a senator? Because you didn't go to Ranger school? Like you don't hear me on here talking about SF Ranger qualified sniper guys and saying, well, yeah, but you're in 75th. And you're also
You
in
didn't
National
graduate
Guard.
sniper school.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that being said, like, let them live. Let them do their thing. Let them make the rest of our community better instead of trying to detract from what they're trying to do to make yourself feel better about the fact that you're not a senator and probably weren't a Ranger. And if you were a Ranger, you didn't graduate in 62 days. Right, Nick? Yeah. Okay.
First time go. No big deal.
Not a huge deal. I'm also going to, because I did read the script, so I know that it's my job to introduce Heather King here. Pronounced Kang, if you will. Heather King is she's an Air Force veteran. She was sorry, I said B-52 pilot. No, she wasn't a pilot. She was back there at the back.
No, she's
a crew chief. She was a B-1 crew chief and a C-130 crew chief. We may have seen her at some point, guys. It was just real dark. She was green at the time.
She probably loved watching us. Loved it.
Jump out of the airplane, probably.
Why?
And then cleaning up half of the puke that was in there, that was left. Maybe. Anyway, but she's a lot more than just an Air Force veteran. She's also a Tillman scholar. She works with the recruiting station in MEPS right now, and she's an all-around, even for a hippie, a great person. So, Heather King.
I appreciate it.
Welcome, Heather. Welcome. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for coming on, Heather.
I'll cheers just some water. It's my favorite these days because whiskey.
Hey, you're in a no judgment zone.
Don't do that anymore. So the Pat Tillman Foundation, the scholarship opens up February 1st. I got inducted into the class of 2013. We were, at that time, it was just the 5th class. But PTF is open for veterans, current service members, and spouses who are, making their movers and shakers in their community. A lot of people think that it's just another scholarship as far as like financial need, but this is one of those scholarships that it's not about, whether or not you can pay for school. They're making an investment in you as a human being, and they're investing in your potential. We've got a ton of people that are, combat medics. We have spouses that are doing incredible things in the TBI world because their husbands, came home with TBIs and couldn't get the help they needed. So what did they do? They decided to go to school so that they could take care of their husband or their wife. We've got incredible people across this foundation, and we're a group of people, a community that is really just trying in our communities, wherever they are, to make that space better. There's a ton of innovative thought. Johnny Kim he's an astronaut, like an astronaut. Who would have thought when they left the service that they were gonna, be launched into space? I mean, not me. That's
Definitely not anybody average.
Not anybody average, and that's amazing that you were talking about that, because everybody in the
Hear that, buddy? Amazing.
I also want to point out the Tillman Foundation. What I've seen from the outside, they're very rooted in service. So I don't know if you want to talk about the service side of it also.
Yeah. So really, I mean, you think that when you leave the service, I mean, at least for me, and I got off active duty in 2007, and then I got out of the reserves in 2010. But when I got out, I didn't know what to do with my life. I had this career of being in service, whether it was, because that's what the squadron was doing for the weekend in our community, whether we were doing Habitat for Humanity or whatever. But when I got out, I didn't know what to do with that. And Pat Tillman Foundation is connected to Team Red, White, and Blue. The Mission Continues. All these different service organizations to try to help ease that transition, because they recognize that a veteran without a purpose becomes a veteran at risk. So
Amen. Beautiful. That was beautifully said right there, because that is truth.
And it really is. Their foundation is just really rooted into community. One of the summits, we have a leadership summit every year, and one year we were in Chicago and we were building park benches and things like that in a park so that people had a place, just to sit down. You don't know how big these things are to other people until you're watching it and you're feeling a need and you're seeing how it's helping other people. I can tell you I would not be who I am without the military, but also without the Tillman Foundation. They have made it to where not only was I able to finish my master's degree, but I've been able to do things in life that I never thought possible because of the foundation. I've been published in the New York Times. I got sober because of the Tillman Foundation, because there was another veteran who was sober who, when I reached that limit, I called and said, I don't know what to do. And they put me in that path of sobriety. And now, like, even within the Tillman Foundation, we have a community of we call ourselves the Sober Scholars. And it's a growing community. So, the Pat Tillman Foundation it's not just about money. It is really and truly, you're gaining a family, you're gaining people who have the same mission mind and same mission mindset as you. Every year they end up picking 60 scholars. And that process is super, super rigorous, but it's, you can go to their YouTube page and they have a playlist of different scholars going through the application process. So even if it's something, that you read and you're not sure if you can do it, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, and I'm happy to mentor anybody through the scholarship program, except for this guy.
Hey,
you better be putting in some overtime.
Hey, Heather, how do they find you?
Oh, well, you can find me on Facebook at Anastasia Beaverhausen. That is my name. Or you can find me on Instagram at SockHerMom. Or you can also find me on LinkedIn at HR King PR.
And how do you get to the Tillman Foundation scholarship? How does that?
If you're curious about the scholarship, you're going to go to www.apply.ptf.org.
Okay. Well, hey, awesome information, Heather. And cheers for coming on the show. Absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Anybody that can put up with Buddy is a friend of ours.
You've got a talent that I do not know.
I brought her so far, guys.
You're sitting that close to him. You haven't taken one swipe at him. It's
sorry,
it's
Heather.
impressive.
That's amazing.
No, we have verbal war, and I don't know. Does he ever?
You don't say with Buddy.
We started one last night.
He
won't let me finish.
Is he constantly interrupting everything that you say just so that he can get his point across?
Strike.
Right, he's insecure. He's very insecure. That's why he went SF.
I don't know if it's not like we plan these shows to have a theme.
We got about 5 minutes of planning.
Yeah.
We do. We do.
I think it's pretty interesting that you were talking about
1/3, 2/3.
Surrounding yourself with people that are above average, and it'll make you above average. And like the Tillman Foundation is legitimately about surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded and above average, and it makes everyone better. So
beautiful, buddy. Beautiful. That is probably the smartest thing you've said in 35 episodes.
Drop the mic.
So that was awesome. I'll just let you retire on that one. Anyways, I have the pleasure of introducing Elizabeth and Chris from NeuroFlow. Got linked up with them from the Mad Colonel, Colonel Rob. Him and I served in Florida together. But when they said that they were neuro guys, I went out and I read this book the last 2 days, The Brain Defense. You guys have read that one. So, no, I'm just kidding. I had to take it for my master's last semester. You guys don't hear the song. We have to make fun of our guests in the song. I think the song got made before we knew Heather was coming on, but that would have been simple. She's the Air Force, whatever. But in the song, Chris and Elizabeth, you're going to have to defend. All right, you're going to have to defend the fact that you took the taxpayers' money to go to West Point, and then you got out. All right. So not sure why. Maybe you guys can elaborate on that. But anyways, we had Dr. Juan on from Wave and Neuroscience, one of our first shows. So that was really awesome. And we're always excited to promote and build build them up as much as we can, because you guys, I'm sure, are doing awesome work. You're going to tell us all about it. So Chris, Elizabeth, welcome to the show. And please, the floor is yours.
Thank you guys for being so patient.
Yeah, no, this has been awesome. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
Sure. Well, yeah, what's your...
Yeah, okay, so let's see. I mean, everything you guys have talked about has really resonated with me. So I grew up an Army brat. My dad was in 173rd. He retired. I went to West Point because I got recruited to swim there, but also because when I went on my recruiting trip, full honesty, I was like, there are a lot of men here. Okay, this is nice. So full disclosure, that was definitely a part of why I went. Graduated 8 years active duty. Being a commander was the best job in the Army. And then I just realized I do not want to be one of those majors on staff. I hated most, if not almost all of them. And so I was like, you know what? This is kind of where I call it a day. Rob and I talked about, just the transition of getting out and what that looks like. I struggled with it, to be honest. The Army was my life, like literally from birth. So I struggled with mental health stuff, but I was an officer, right? So like, you're supposed to have your shit together. I had no financial issues. My family's amazing. I have amazing friends, but it was like, well, what do I do now? Like, where do I go from here? And I knew I would be successful, right? Because it's just kind of like who I am. I'm going to work super hard at anything I do. But I struggled, and it was like, well, who do I talk to? How do I ask for help? I didn't even know I needed help. So struggled with that for a while, to be honest. And then I went into sales, because I guess if you've got some semblance of a personality, you might be successful. So went into sales, did a couple sales jobs. Chris and I met like in Dublin over New Year's Eve last year. Right. We've become super close. And I saw a job posting for NeuroFlow, and they're legitimately helping people around the world with mental health, mental wellness, resiliency, behavioral health, whatever you want to call it that you're most comfortable with. But they're doing it in a way where like it just makes so much sense. And I just wanted to be part of something that was bigger than me. I get to work in the government market, so I legitimately get to bring this to soldiers, sailors, airmen who probably don't know they need it, soldiers, families who maybe don't know they need it, but it's an app that you can log into every day and do different tests and different assessments and different things, and it can get sent back to your primary care provider. And that primary care provider will get an alert, and they'll be like, oh shoot, let me check up on this person. Things that we don't do, right? You go in for your annual, you walk out. There's a lot of stuff that can happen between your annuals. But like when I was in, I had buddies who'd seen way more combat than me. So I was like, well, how dare I like have an issue, right? Like I don't deserve to have mental health problems. So I'm just not going to address it. Had I had this app, who knows, maybe my primary care provider would have been like, hey, you've been sleeping really poorly for 17 days. Hey, you mentioned this on your assessment. Let's just have a conversation. But that never happened because Elizabeth Cow is good. No issues, call it what it is. And so I now get to work for this company who we're literally saving people's lives. We're partnered with Stop Soldier Suicide. We've legitimately helped
Wounded
save
Warrior
people.
Project.
Yep. We're legitimately helping not just civilians in the commercial world, veterans, active duty airmen, soldiers. I mean, legitimately anyone who will have a conversation with me. You can't see this demo and not want to give it to everyone and give them access to these amazing resources to help not just save lives, but just help people live healthier, better versions of their above average selves.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Real quick.
That's why we hired her. That's awesome.
I got a quick question in regards to, because you mentioned active duty. I know when we had Dr. Juan on, he mentioned medical covers it for active duty. Is that the case with you guys as well? Or are we, for active duty members, are they looking at paying out of pocket for assistance?
No. No, so it's available right now in the Air Force on 14 air bases, and we're trying to expand it, to every place right now.
Air Force needs it the most. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hey, now we're not being average.
or just joking. Yes. Go ahead.
Look, and the reason why the name NeuroFlow is NeuroFlow when really we're supporting mental health and behavioral health is because this stupid stigma around mental health. It's like, oh, I don't need mental health treatment. It's like, dude, I've been a physical therapist. You get that taken care of. If you had a broken arm, you go to the doctor. So if you're struggling with sleep, or you're feeling down or depressed or anxious, like, there's shit that could get you better and help you get better. And there's no reason to feel ashamed by that. So, making it NeuroFlow, you make it more physical, right? Because physical health, mental health is health, right? And we're focused on that intersection. And what we do basically is, taking a step back, everyone on this call, if you want to admit it, great. If you don't, it's true, has struggled or has known someone that has struggled with mental health. I mean, it's just a fact.
Down, 100%. I'll admit it. Yep.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see
100.
I see behavioral health for TBI, speech therapy, anger management, and like Elizabeth was saying, with the stigma, of not being able to talk about it. And with the combat role, like she said, like, we've all seen combat here, and some pretty serious stuff back in the day. Buddy, it took a while to get his pants wet, but he got there.
I pulled Nick out of a truck where he was looking at me dead in the face, but he was unconscious.
Yeah, so
from a big boom.
So we're trying to get people to talk about it, and that's what the group is for. That we started on Facebook, and that was our first mission. And we talk about it here as being a whole system. Everybody thinks, if we just put more money into the VA, if we just get them jobs, if we get them more training while they're in, all that is great. So we want to build the biggest community. And with the NeuroFlow, I was excited to have you guys on, is we have a bigger audience now. So I feel bad for Dr. Juan, because they had a smaller audience. You guys have a much bigger audience now, thanks to Gruntworks. And I mean, you're going to have over 1,000 people watch this today, and they probably have no freaking clue that it's even accessible to them. And that is the thing that I'm glad you guys are on here to cover. And one quick thing about not seeing combat. I was just talking to my wife the other day about 42 alphas, all right, pack clerks. And it's like, yeah, they don't get shot at and blown up a lot. But when I was an HHC first sergeant, I spent the majority of my free time up there making sure they weren't getting just crushed all day, right? And the work that they do is not worth the pay that they get for the skills that they have. They get absolutely pummeled, all right? And then they get blamed for everything. And you know what? Maybe they're not the strongest person in the world. And you know what? Maybe I could be average and blame S1, all right? Or I could try to build them up, maybe help them out a little bit, right? So again, it doesn't matter what MOS you were in, all right? The military is going to get every freaking inch out of you that they can. And I don't have a problem with that, because our job is to win our nation's battles. So if that means you're working 18 hours a day, all right, maybe some poor leadership there, maybe, or the mission freaking required it, right? So it's like, that's what happens. So again, thanks for coming on the show, guys. Chris, please tell us what NeuroFlow does and how to get to it.
No, thanks. I appreciate that. Look, how many, again, going back to we've all struggled, we've known people have struggled, yet how many of us just answered 0 on the post-deployment health assessment where our depression screening?
Most of us. I think luckily there's a shift. There's a culture shift going on right now, thankfully, I think, in the military.
Yeah, I think the thing about your approach that I like, the angle, and I didn't mean to jump over you there, but the angle is that you treat it, and I've heard it addressed this way, and I think it's such a better way of putting a label on it, is it's a mental injury, not a mental illness.
100%.
You've been injured.
That's absolutely, and you can
get
healing.
Right.
And recover. And then it's not only just about if you have an injury, it's about, look, when you go to the gym and work out when you're not injured, it's the same thing. It's about optimization. It's about performance management. Even if you could go from good to great. And so what we try to do is we use technology not to replace the human connection, not to replace the specialist and the psychologist, but rather to provide a scalable way for people to anonymously get the help that they need, so that you don't have to worry about your chain of command. You don't have to worry about about the stigma. But when you want to, you can reach out to people through the technology. You could do it anonymously. You could do it with support, like with your primary care provider. And it's just, And what you find is you find higher engagement in those numbers. When I was a platoon leader, we lost a soldier in our unit to depression. He took his own life. And that story is all too common, unfortunately. When we did our old 15-6 investigation, despite having the courage to say that he needed help and scored positively on that post-deployment health assessment, he never went to follow up with a therapist. He never filled his antidepressants, and no one ever followed up to check in, say, hey, how are you doing right now? And he never got the help that he needed. So technology can bridge that gap, and that's our mission. And today we support 350,000 people on the technology and want to continue growing our military presence. So again, we're active in the Air Force and 14 air bases.
So real quick, you guys asked if anyone can use it. So the short answer is yes. However, right? With the government, things are always a little bit more difficult. We need contracts. The government actually has to give us the contract to pay for it for the soldiers through, whether it be a cyber contract, SoftWorks, AppWorks, whatever it is.
Does that mean you have to be the lowest bidder?
No, actually, no. So we have what's called sole source contracting rights. And this is why the contract exists too, is because we're not like a social media app that monetizes your data. This is HIPAA compliant platform that's secured. We don't sell the data. That data is yours. I don't even know that you're on the platform. But the way that we make money then is we sell that contract to the government, and then they make it available to you, and then we secure that data. So it's a HIPAA compliant, very private way. And we're sole source. So it doesn't need to be the lowest bidder, because no one can, right? The government has said, you've gone through a competitive process, you have the Air Force contract. Now we can expand that to the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps. So if anybody is interested and wants to do that, reach out to us at NeuroFlow.com. We'd love to do that.
I got another question. We discussed it briefly, the treatment aspect. Can you just hit on that a little bit more? Are we talking pharmaceuticals, holistic treatment, therapy? There's
a multifaceted approach.
So all the above. Actually, Heather, you're awesome Tillman scholar. We have our director of clinical operations is a Tillman scholar.
Who is it?
Matt McClett. Yeah, he's awesome.
He's awesome. He talked about this. I knew it sounded familiar. He talked about this in its like infancy stages.
Buddy,
Heather had some straight shooter coffee.
Jesus, great show.
Heather had some straight shooter coffee.
No, but like real quick, I want to touch a point that you made and that Nick made, because people's trauma, and this is something that I literally learned. I didn't know until I became a scholar, and like the network of mental health providers was there, but like trauma is so different for every person. Like what's an 8 for me is like a 2 for him. Well, vice.
It's a 2 for me. Probably a 0 for me. I'm awesome.
And like, just because, I think people underestimate when the war kicked off, we were kids, 17, 18, 19 years old. People are deploying for a year at a time, 18 months at a time. Like the human body and brain was not meant to be exposed to any environment like that. So yeah, there's so much going on in the mental health community, and so many people just shrug it off because they think, oh, like me, I wasn't a flying crew chief, but I deployed. Shut up. We won't talk about where I went, but I did deploy.
What was it, Qatar? Did you go to Qatar? Was it UAE? Oh my God, we only got 3 beers a day. It was terrible.
Was it beer?
Sleep in a parking garage.
Let's see. Here we go. See now. Hey, here we go. We're busting people's chops. It's like. But again, she's right.
Trash talk hour.
She's right. It's a trash talk hour. We're not being hypocrites. We are still building Heather up. We appreciate your deployment. Thank you for your service, ma'am. Anyways.
Just
Dave,
how we talk.
Hey, Dave, ask your question to Chris again.
Therapy's available.
I think Chris still remembers the question. Both of you do.
Yeah.
I definitely want you guys to hit on that, because that's extremely important. Like the pharmaceutical stuff, I deal with, sleeping issues, and they put me on some sleeping meds. And I talked to some friends of mine, and they looked at, the stuff that I was taking, and they're like, holy crap, like throw that crap away. I'm not saying that there aren't any pharmaceuticals that are good, But I would love to hear about the approach that you guys take once somebody, seeks out the treatment, uses your app, whatever it may be. And then, just hit on that a little bit for us.
So the app helps direct the user. The back end of the technology uses data analytics to direct the user to the right type of care for you. So maybe sometimes therapeutics and pharmaceuticals is the right type of treatment, or augmented by therapy. Maybe you need to see a therapist. Maybe sometimes you just need to use like some alone time, meditation, mindfulness sort of stuff. Big Girl, you talked about a lot of the things that you mentioned about not breaking people down, like that's stoicism and cognitive behavioral therapy related things, right? Like journaling entries, just having an outlet to places. So using data analytics, we tie in with wearable devices so we could track your activity, your exercise level, your health, your sleep quality. And then we prompt the user to try different activities that may be right for you. So all of us were on the platform, maybe I'm scoring positive on depression. David, you're a little bit anxious. Big Girl is, sleep issues. Heather's okay. So Heather will get positive psychology sort of material and content. I'll get what's relevant for me. You'll get what's relevant for you. And we'll get prompted in the right directions. But we all get those issued spiral notebooks that we're supposed to wear as part of our uniform that have the resources and everything. That mine went through the washing machine the first time I got it, and then I never used it again.
Like the battle cards? Isn't that what they call them?
Yeah, the ACE cards, remember? Right?
ACE card? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
ACE card.
It's full, like no one's ever going to use that. And so creating a technology that can be responsive and reactive to you, getting you that right type of care. So David, sometimes maybe you need to see a therapist. We'll prompt you and push you to say, hey, maybe you want to do that as a recommendation, and then we'll provide those resources to reach out to the right people.
I love that. So it's not just one single way; it's a multitude of things that you guys can provide. That's great. That's great.
Right, and we always say to be weary of the person that has the one answer, right? Because it's a whole system.
Good point, Nick.
It's a whole system that needs to get fixed. Mm-hmm. So the 22 a day is a number that we all have awareness to. People do the push-ups, all that kind of thing. In my studies at the Yale, the Southwest, where Bill Pearson is watching, it's not Arizona State, it's UTEP. All right. So when I'm studying there and I'm reading this stuff and I'm reading about the brain science, and you start looking at your self-reflecting on yourself, and it's like, wait a minute. Maybe I need some help with that. Because like you talked about, Chris, and I'll let you expand on it more. And in layman's terms for like the people watching, when things in your brain get messed up, like it's like the sparks and the wires that are firing, like trauma can cause them not to fire when they're supposed to fire, or vice versa. And like I said, I'll let you explain that in more detail. But again, if you find yourself, especially veterans out there, or anybody who's been through, has a stressful freaking life, like if you find times where for some reason you have that MRT ATC disconnect where it's like I just lost my shit for no reason, right? Like, why did I lose my temper there? I shouldn't have lost my temper there. What the hell is going on? And that's only if you're able to self-reflect. You might not even realize it,
right? But
it's like you might not even realize that your brain's not working. And then Ventura Training and Athletics, our sponsor, they use muscle activation to help with TBI, and like I said, it's a whole system. And if we can get everybody together to fix it, then we can. And that's the whole point of this whole system, this whole page, everything. But Chris, explain how the brain fires and why that can cause problems and all that kind of stuff.
And that's why mental health is health, right? Is that it's all connected together. I mean, talk about people that go see a pain doctor because they're in chronic pain, also have depression, anxiety, and they're or substance use disorder, or at risk for that, because it's all one system that's connected together. And so when you have a traumatic event occur that literally rewires the way that you see and think and are able to handle things, it's about getting a handle on that so that you can recover from that injury. Again, it's not an illness. It's you can actually get better from this. And you were talking about reflecting on it. Why did I react that way? Why did I get stressed? Why did I get over angry? What our technology helps them do is prompt them to do that, to self-reflect, and then log that so they could track that over time. So we'll send reminders to people to say, hey, how you doing today? Like, journal here. And here's the best part, is when you take care of your wellness, not only do you feel better, you're more productive, you're more successful. In our technology, you actually earn points that can be redeemed for like gift cards.
Like Amazon, Best Buy, Target.
So now you're getting rewarded too for it, which is, prompting people to just take ownership of that.
So it's a win-win across the board for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point. You brought up about the journaling and self-reflecting, and again, for the people that aren't getting it yet, and they just don't, because like I said, we want to blame things instead of looking inside. And again, if you're doing things that are not productive, things that are stopping you from going forward, yeah, there's some outside influences, some outside triggers, sure, but it's you. Like it's you're the one that has to control it, and people really don't want to hear that. What I wanted to ask too is, for like I said, for the people that are watching, and like I said, thank God Gruntworks picked us up, because we got a lot of people that are watching and that can help from it. Is what does it take? And then people want to see it. People want to see the results. What can you show them? Because again, this doesn't work unless I see, like, if I have soap, if it doesn't make bubbles, then it's not soap, right? So it's like
awesome. No,
it could be the cleanest thing in the freaking world, but it didn't make bubbles, so I don't want to see it. How do we see it?
I love that you're saying this too, because when you go to the gym, you work out for a week, you want to lose weight, you step on a scale, you're like, I didn't lose any weight, you give up, right? But if you could track that progress over time, even measuring minuscule progress, it drives you to keep wanting to go back. And so in psychology, they have a principle known as recency bias, meaning that you could be feeling a lot better, getting a handle on things, and then you have one bad day, and the only thing you remember is that one bad day, and you're like, well, fuck, everything sucks, the world's against me, and you forget about all that progress that you had up until that point. And so what you can do in journaling, and what our app helps you, prompt you to do, but you don't have to, you could do this on a notepad, like you don't need our app to do this, is you keep track every day. It's called a mood log, a sleep quality log, where you could say, this is how I was feeling today, this is what was happening, this is my thought process. And over time, what we do is we show you a graph of your mood over time. And maybe you had a bad day and you see a dip, but you could see the upward trend. Before that, you could say, wow, okay, things actually have been getting better. And it shows you that progress, and it's quantifiable. I mean, NeuroFlow, mental health today, trying to make that progress quantifiable, as opposed to just like, hey, how do you feel? You look up, I don't know, okay, I guess, or shitty. We can actually quantify that, so that the users become more motivated to take ownership of that.
I totally agree, and it's also helpful in the way that a lot of these veterans need to learn to celebrate your small victories, and stop letting defeat live 1,000 lives. If you even it out and think about the positives as much as you think about the negatives, it would be incredible at how much better you felt. And I mean, I'm guilty of it myself, but a lot of veterans have that mindset. If I won, then that's what I was supposed to do. If I lost, I'm gonna dine on my guts for 3 days thinking about it.
Well,
and
I think
it should be the other way around. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. The thing that happens too is people have a bad day, and you hear so many people say like, "Oh, it's just one bad day, you'll get over it." And sometimes you're like, "I just kind of want to live in the shit right now. Like, I want to feel this right now." And so, like, if you were to log something like "slept super shitty, I'm in a bad mood," it'll prompt you with a video of Nicolette saying, "Hey, so you're not feeling good today? That's okay. Feel it. Like, these are valid emotions. You're allowed to not feel great all the time. It is not normal, like on Instagram, to live a perfect life. That is not real life."
Right.
So you've got these videos or these things that'll prompt, that'll say, it's okay. It's good that you're feeling this, because there's a huge spectrum of emotions. And the fact that you're feeling one of them is a good thing. Feel it. Here are some things that you can do if you're feeling this way today. And it'll like push you in a direction where you're like, oh, so I'm not super strange that I'm having a bad day, because everyone on Instagram is like living the life despite that we're in COVID. And like, so it really does just put things into perspective, and you're like, okay,
reframes it.
Right. So you don't feel abnormal. You don't feel like you're crazy, right? Like the term crazy, just as a woman, for me, just makes me angry.
Hey, settle down,
really,
Elizabeth. Calm down.
It's not the
Like, yeah,
it's not
I'm
the
sure
best.
you love when men tell you to calm down.
You know,
All
if
right,
you
I'm
really-
not
settle
sure if calming
down.
down has anyone ever calmed down, being told to calm down.
Elizabeth, let me cut you guys off real quick. I think it's amazing what you brought up with the COVID situation too, and Nick's hit on it a couple shows ago. Just that the care is not really available right now, or if you're a veteran, you're going to the VA maybe once a month. But through this app, I mean, it sounds like you're constantly receiving the care that is required.
Every
Like
day.
you mentioned a video that just pops up if you're not doing well. So just it's amazing. I'm really fascinated with this app. If you could maybe tell the viewers again where they can find it, Apple Store, whatever app store, so they can just download it, and then how that like subscription, how that works.
Yeah, so you check it out at NeuroFlow.com, spelled like what's behind it. So you have to be activated by either an organization like Wounded Warrior Project, get an invitation code through them, or a base that we're active on. And if you reach out to us, we can tell if your base is active. If your base isn't active, we could talk to we could talk about
Tell your
launching it on
leadership.
base. Yeah.
Tell your
Yeah,
leadership.
yeah,
We'll come sign a contract tomorrow, and we'll get every soldier in the entire
Love
army
it.
on the platform tomorrow. But we need, like General Funk, he's the commander of trade ops, said, I think everyone should go to behavioral health once a year. Once a
That's
year is
my
not
boss.
enough, sir. Once a year is not enough, sir. They need to go. They need to have access to this app so they can go every day. So General Funk, who is
Constant. Yes.
my
yes,
commander at
yes.
Fort Riley, I'm telling you, sir, sign a contract with NeuroFlow so that every soldier can have access to this every single day, so that
How
we
many-
can reduce those numbers.
How many
Hey,
people
Beautiful.
work for NeuroFlow?
Beautiful.
How many people work for NeuroFlow? Like how large? Like
We have we're up to 65, right?
okay.
Nice. So
So
just
a lot of veterans.
Awesome.
He's a very humble guy, but went to West Point, served
well,
5
he's an
years.
artillery guy, so
Started this on his own with our
Meh.
co-founder Adam.
Okay, he's okay.
So you said the question before was like, why did you take all the taxpayer money and quit the army? It's a fair question. I was given the advice by a mentor.
And why'd you
of mine.
cheat on your test? You know you cheated on your test. They all just got caught.
Yeah, what's up with
they
all
just
that?
got caught. Now I can't. Now none of us can trust the West Point officer.
If-
You're
if
all
you-
cheating.
If you saw my GPA, if you know what my GPA was, it would
We
be
didn't
really
cheat.
sad if I
We
cheated.
did not
It was,
cheat.
Mm.
And I got a funny story about a West Point officer. He's still in. He's that regiment. But it's one of the few times that I actually put my foot in my mouth to a lieutenant. It was rare, right? So he was the XO of my HHC company, and he made a mistake, right? And so I'm gonna razz him a little bit, and and I'm like, hey, weren't you like number one in your class at West Point? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, you're an engineer, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so that school must suck. He just looks up at me and goes, why don't you look it up? Right. So I look it up and it's like the 4th best in the world, and I'm like, he's like, and then another officer comes like, yeah, his name's etched on the fucking wall because he had like the highest GPA ever, and I was like, that's even worse. You shouldn't have made the mistake. But no, look, I want to put in a plug for Karen. We've had her on the show a few times. She's a life coach.
Awesome person.
I worked with her in Hawaii, and she was there, and she worked on the Green Book project. And this goes along with Elizabeth, what you were saying to like General Funk and all that kind of stuff. Again, General Funk, I doubt you're on Gruntworks right now, but I'll tag you on Twitter when I share this video. You're like I work for you. Okay, I'm not afraid to say it, and because it won't get me in trouble. But again, we don't fund the right things that actually take care of soldiers. Now, this is coming from a guy where if you sit in one of my meetings, I'm going to tell you that our job is to kill people. So if you're not making us better at that, go away. All right? I don't need you here. But what took growing up and maturity to realize is that the mental health of our soldiers, especially our war fighters, and then everybody that supports the war fighters, like we talked about the 42 alphas, if we can get their brains working right, if we can get them to actually self-reflect and take it seriously, MRT is a great program. It's just run wrong, right? And so Karen has been funded multiple times throughout the Army. She worked for UCLA. She's a run coach. She's phenomenal. She worked with my platoon when I was a platoon sergeant, had the highest PT average because of her. Because everybody
taught Nick how to shoot expert. She taught Nick how to shoot expert.
I had my entire company. I had my entire company, 137 guys when I was a line company first sergeant, qualify expert. Every single one of them. Wow. And what was funny is the XO came out to the range, and there was a group of guys with their uniform off and their hat off, and there was this civilian talking to him. So he started getting mad. He's like, "What the hell is that all about over there?" I was like, "Oh, those are that's step 3 of our marksmanship program that we got going on." And they were like, "What's that?" I was like, "He's like, what's that all about?" And I was like, "Well, sir, so if you shoot 33 to 35, we give you more ammo, and you go back up and you shoot again, right? Because maybe you just had a couple bad trigger pulls, whatever, But if you're below 33, all right, you go get some more training, and then you go shoot again." Right? If you don't get above 33 or you shot like a 27 because you suck, whatever, now we send you to this psychologist, right? Weird, right? And they start talking to you, and then they start putting heart monitors on you. They start talking story with you, and then all of a sudden, they have you vulnerable, and they're able to reach you, and these guys go up there, and then they fire a 37. And it's and so this major goes, "Well, how does that make us more lethal?" And I was like, I don't know, is he testing me right now? Or, well, exactly. So I'm sitting there but he's just so against that. That's not Army. That's not Army over there.
That's not right. Totally right. Like it's something you can't quantify.
Correct. So again, I get my whole company to qualify expert, and all of a sudden I got these captains coming out, knocking on my door, and "Hey, who's that person's name?" And I was like, oh, you want to do it, all right? Because that's how MRT is supposed to be used. Those people will go out to the field with you, but instead we have a 1-hour class every quarter, right? And we talk about putting it in perspective and hunt the good stuff and your breathing patterns and all that kind of stuff. But these people, and they continue to get defunded. They defunded Karen. And I emailed the division sergeant major, and I said, "These are my stats," because I kept the log of it. I go, I had 16 guys that could not run below a 15. Right. And I was like, all I can do as an NCO is say, "Run faster, motherfucker." What am I qualified as a run coach? Right. Well, Karen would take them and, their brain, work on their brain with running. It's like, look, you're not going to be an 11-minute person. But, hey, stare at the line. Stare at the line on the track. Find something. And she'd work with their brain. Everybody was in my platoon got below about a 2-minute drop on their run. And then her stats over thousands of people were about a 1:30 to 2-minute drop. And we defunded her. We literally took the money away. It's that makes us more lethal. So I wanted to give her a plug because they just defunded her again in Hawaii.
Keep fighting, Karen. We love you.
Yeah. And it's she's already well established. Well, and I mean, again, she's a winner. She builds people up, and but she wants to keep working, and all she wants to do is help service members. She helps all the high schools around her for running and all that kind of stuff. And when you have somebody who worked at UCLA, it's I mean. For athletes, probably pretty good, and especially for track and field. But so again, hit it home with the generals and the people that need to listen. How does NeuroFlow, besides the obvious of if I can hit 37 out of 40, I can shoot and kill more people. How does it make the DoD more lethal? How does NeuroFlow do that? Because that's what you have to argue.
Yeah, think about, we talked about Tiger Woods earlier, right? He's so mentally tough. That's his dad trained him to be that way. He was able to win under the most immense pressure whatsoever. Imagine just from a decision-making standpoint, you're under fire, you're in the middle of a mission, you're deployed for 12 months, 15 months, however long it is. That takes mental strength to do that, to get to lead soldiers to lead a mission like that, leaving your family behind. And it's also about families too, like kids that have to say goodbye to their mom or dad for a year for deployment. It's just one less thing to worry about, and it's about performance optimization. If you can have, what I would say to anyone that said, how does this make us more lethal? I'd ask, why do you have them do PT every day for physical fitness?
Well, so I'm gonna challenge you, Chris. I think you got to come better than that. Because again, PT, the Army's went the right way with PT, and the new H2F is the right way as well. As far as how they're thinking about, getting people in better shape and diets. Stuff like, how is NeuroFlow going to make us more lethal? Like how is it going to happen?
Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about mental health in general. Mental health will make us more lethal, and
we know that. Just like Shane better knows that.
You're selling the room at how much more devastating you can make us.
Because listen, we know how effective MRT is, how those human psychologists are, those coaches are. It's impossible to scale them across our entire force. Again,
You've got one Karen, right?
We're not trying to replace Karen. Karen does amazing stuff for what she does. We're trying to scale her so that we can reach every soldier, every airman, every sailor, and technology allows you to do that. And
Did I get confused and make this a competition? I didn't mean to.
No, what I'm saying is that we want to expound on her capabilities.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So everyone has access to a Karen, not like the Karens that we don't, but like Karen.
Yeah. She had to put her middle name on her resume so people wouldn't
We almost wanted to make a shirt. We almost wanted to make a shirt that with her profile that just said, "We love our Karen."
That's awesome.
Yeah,
our Karen's awesome.
Our Karen's better than your Karen.
Making those resources available to everybody in a cost-effective way, so you don't have to get defunded. You could scale that, and that's where technology comes in.
And
you guys notice Chris brought some heat on that last exchange there?
That's what I was trying to get. We were trying to get it from him. We were trying to get it from him. So, we just had somebody comment, a buddy of mine who's in the academy right now, and he's like, "Hey, pass me their info." And that's another thing that you guys should look into as well, is getting into the enlisted side as far as the Sergeant Major Academy. The Sergeant Major Academy has an SLS program because you got a lot of older guys and girls that go there. So before they go back out to the force, just like the War College, they make sure that they're healthy enough to actually go deal with the stress they're about to go deal with. And there is nothing like you guys in there. There's very little. So it's if you get in there, you sell it. You sell it to the people who can actually influence people who write policy.
Yeah.
So two senior NCOs deserve a shout out on the Air Force side. So Master Sergeant Darrell Williams and Master Sergeant Chad McKee have been the best stewards ever for the Air Force's mental wellness and resiliency.
That's who you need to get to, not the officers. Get to the E9s. Yeah. I know you're West Pointers, but get to the E9s, get to the E8s.
Well, Elizabeth's email is super easy. What's your email?
I'm just Elizabeth@neuroflow.com.
Good job.
We'll put the plug on the show as well. Yeah.
There we go.
They just put it on the thread. So
you guys have been awesome. Thanks for so much.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys are always more than welcome back. And like I said, I'm going to put a plug in for Leah. She's starting the Veteran Trash Talk Hour Female Warrior Edition.
Shout out to Leah.
That's good.
That's going to be on there on Monday. Actually, she and I are chatting on Monday. Awesome. Yeah. So
nice. She's on if you go on our YouTube channel and watch the interview I did with her, it's very hard to watch. It's hard to listen to. It's not pretty, it's not cool, but it's real. And the whole time my leg was twitching because I just wanted to just strangle the person she was talking about.
Did she stand in the pocket and deliver?
And she
absolutely brought it.
Yep.
She's going to give a whole new level of awareness to an aspect forgotten about is female warriors and female MST and even male MST. It happens to males more. Everybody whatever. But Dave, close us out. It was a pleasure having you on NeuroFlow. And again, we'd love for you guys to sponsor Leah's show.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you for your time.
We can have your logo. We can have your logo right there.
Love you guys.
Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks to the Gruntworks community for tuning in. Make sure you check us out on all of our platforms. There's too many of them to name. Nick and I are trying to figure out this TikTok thing, so we are on there posting videos, but I don't know. I got hashtag issues, I guess. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All right, check us out. Give us a subscribe. Smash that like button. All right, go to veterantrashtalk.com. It's our homepage. You can find all our stuff. And shop veterantrashtalk.com as we get all this merch, okay? We are partnered with Stop Soldier Suicide as well, okay? So part of our proceeds go to Stop Soldier Suicide.
Awesome.
Thanks for tuning in. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll catch you guys later.
Yeah.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Ventura Training and Athletics. Restore, train, maintain. Specializing in the restoration of the muscular system to help you move and feel better. Combating TBI, PTSD, and pain through specialized strength training. Again, get your body right, get your mind right, defeat the demons.